Jam. Cooler and a flyer too.
Hello, everybody. What's good? How y'all doing? Hope everybody is having a great day. Welcome back to the show that's cool and fly too. A1 Forever Sports. Chris Tip Moore right here. And be generational because it's always time to be in why settle for less where you can have more with the vision. And speaking of having more with the vision, today is a video that was not easy to make, but hey, it had to be made. This video is to illustrate the 4 ways of progression for the Atlanta Falcons. And it also is a sequel to the previous video that I've done, 3 ways to build an empire, the Atlanta Falcons offseason. And if you haven't checked that one out, please do so, because it's right here. Now, with that being said, let's get into the new video and let's talk about how the empire is progressing. The draft is over, and the Atlanta Falcons are gearing up for training camp. Last year began the process of GM Terry Fontenot and coach Arthur Smith turning this Falcon franchise around and becoming contenders. 3 notable things that happened for the Atlanta Falcons are they were able to clear their cap space, the recently reinstated Calvin Ridley was traded, and the Falcons were able to win 7 games despite a 2-15 prediction from experts. As the offseason began, quarterback Marcus Mariota and later cornerback Casey Hayward were released due to lacks of performance or availability. This season will be a step forward for the Falcons with these 4 steps of progression. Strong free agency. Atlanta started this offseason off with a bang. No, seriously, it's been quite some time the Falcons have had money to spend in the offseason and improve its roster. Real Falcon fans know why. Okay, I'll say it. Mostly decision-making in the front office on paying people and repaying players. Oh, but this offseason, a few moves for Atlanta includes solidifying their right guard position by extending Chris Lindstrom, arguably one of the best right guards in football. They will also extend his draft running mate Caleb McGarry at right tackle. The Falcons then would strengthen their secondary, bringing in Jesse Bates, Jeff Okudah, and Trey Flowers, just to name a few. Not to be outdone, the Falcons would add to the front 7. Atlanta brought in Caden Ellis and David Amanyata from New Orleans. Free agent Bud Dupree, Calais Campbell, a returning Eddie Goldman, and also re-signed hometown favorite Lorenzo Carter. On offense, quarterback and hometown kid Taylor Heineke was signed, but he will be backing up quarterback Desmond Ritter. The Falcons would lose wide receiver Olamide Zaccheaus, but former Tampa Bay Bucks wide receiver Scotty Miller was signed. Draft needs over wants. Going into the 2023 draft, questions circle around the receiving core and who the Birds would draft at number 8. A lot of Falcon fans, including myself, was calling for defensive end Jalen Carter. However, the Falcons chose to build on a strength with the 8th overall pick. Running back Bijan Robinson, a dynamic player from Texas, was selected. In 2022, B-Rob had 258 carries, 1,580 rushing yards at 6.1 per carry, and 18 touchdowns. Robinson also had 60 receptions at 16.5 yards per catch, 805 receiving yards, and 8 receiving touchdowns. Dynamic. The Falcons had the 3rd best rushing attack last season. Installing Bijan in this offense will continue to wear down opposing defenses and continue to make plays for the Atlanta to win games. Robinson has already stated that Coach Arthur Smith plans to coach him hard and use him everywhere, which means I wouldn't be surprised to see him lined up at receiver along with Cordero Patterson. Back to the draft, the Falcons did not select a receiver for the reasons I just explained. Atlanta did continue strength training by trading up to the 38th pick, selecting offensive lineman Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse. Bergeron has flexibility at tackle and some at guard. Coach Arthur Smith is looking to capitalize and possibly plug him into a week 1 starting position, if he's ready. Let's face it, Bergeron will have to learn the position and this offense. On the outside, you have a few steps before you actually get rushed. In the inside, the rush happens immediately. Bergeron says he feels his progression is coming along well. On the question if he feels pressure to start week 1, Bergeron says he's going to give 100% and see where his talent takes him. The Falcons will pick up a few more needs in Zach Harrison, defensive end from Ohio State, in the 3rd. Clark Phillips III in the 4th round, a cornerback who was named the Defensive Player of the Year in the Pac-12 and considered a steal for Atlanta. To finish the draft, Atlanta drafted DeMarco Hillams, safety out of Alabama, and Javon Wynn, guard out of South Carolina. Sometimes you just have to go with your strengths. Sometimes you have to go with your needs over your wants. The Falcons' talent hunt continued as they signed XFL and CFL players to compete. Looking for another capable player like cornerback D. Alford, who was signed from the CFL. This empire is being constructed carefully through this new regime. Set it up for Ritter. The biggest question of them all is quarterback Desmond Ritter. Who is he? What is he? The experts think Atlanta should have went with a quarterback in the draft. Desmond Ritter has voiced that it puts a chip on his shoulder, as it should. Last year, the former 3rd rounder got a chance to give us all its little sample size of what he could possibly be. Marcus Mariota was benched and Ritter stepped in for the final 4 games. Ritter went 73 for 115 for 708 passing yards, 63.5 completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, with a 86.4 passing rating. The Falcons went 2-2, but if not for a fumble or 2 doesn't happen, who knows? Who knows what could have been? Ritter is expected to show he is the guy, that he is capable of giving Atlanta its best chance at victory under center. Production is what we're looking for here. Ritter will have help, but they will all need to step up and have the 4th step in this progression: production. The returning Kyle Pitts will be needed in this passing game. I technically expect him to be the number 2 in this offense. Second-year wide receiver Drake London will be asked to really solidify himself as a number 1 in the NFL. The run game and offensive line must continue to be a top 3 rushing attack, maybe even improve to a top 2. Production from the defense is also needed and is pivotal, especially the defensive front. The Falcons had 21 sacks last year, one more than the Chicago Bears, who had the least amount of sacks. Not even 50 sacks in the last 2 years, and it's time for a change right now. The Falcons know what to expect from Grady Jarrett, but Amanyata, TQ Graham, and the rest must put relentless pressure on opponents. Atlanta also needs its former second rounders Arnold Albuquerque and Troy Anderson to take steps forward. Albuquerque had 21 solo tackles, 9 assists, and 2.5 sacks. Anderson had 40 solo tackles, 29 assisted, 1 forced fumble, 3 tackles for a loss. Both players' numbers need to go up this year. The secondary will be better this year with the pairing of Jeff Okudah, AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates, Richie Grant, and some D. Alford and or Clark Phillips III. That lineup sounded good, don't it? Another thing that we should all hope for is a repeat or improvement on penalties. The Falcons had the least amount of penalties in the NFL with 68. So how do you improve on being number one? By solidifying that. Why not this year have only 60 penalties or 50 penalties or less? Always look to improve. Lastly, production on special teams should be opportunistic, giving the Falcons and quarterback Desmond Ritter good field position to start with. Ritter has already stated he feels like this offense is going to be explosive, especially with the additions of Bijan Robinson, returning Cal Pitts, second-year Drake London. I like it. The Atlanta Falcons empire under the new regime is progressing along nicely. As long as the Falcons do their job, they will win more games this year and surprise many opponents. Now, I didn't put this through a simulator, but this is just my opinion looking over the roster. I'm projecting that the Atlanta Falcons will win at least 11 games this season. Because this empire, it is rising right up to contention. Until next time, guys, I'll be back. But be generational, because it's always time to be. Why settle for less when you can have more with the vision? The show that's cool and fly too, A1 Forever Sports with Chris Tip Moore. Atlanta Falcons fans, this empire is rising. It's on its way. Peace and blessings to you guys. I will holler. What's up, A1 family? Are you subscribed? If you are, thank you so very much, and you have all my gratitude. If you're not, go ahead and subscribe so you can get this content and be a part of the A1 family, the family that is cool and fly too.